Hey y'all, I'm Paul Bonzer and I'm back in the shop working on another project. Today I'm working on this pinning tray.
A pinning tray is used to hold the various internal parts of a pin tumbler lock while it is having its pins changed out, to either rekey the lock or add security pins which make the lock harder to pick. I made this tray as a gift for a friend who is into lock sport, which is basically lockpicking as a hobby, as opposed to lockpicking for illicit purposes. This pinning tray design features several channels to hold pins and springs, one open-ended channel which can hold the cylinder with its key inserted, and one larger pocket to hold miscellaneous other lock parts. I will include links in the description to more information on pin tumbler locks, lock sport, and rekeying locks. I started out by gluing a template I created to a piece of scrap plywood. I marked and punched the centers of all the radiuses to guide the drill bit and make sure the holes were accurately positioned. I then drilled all the holes partway through. I used the holes to align a guide block for a router with a bit the same size as the holes. Then I clamped the guide down and routed the slots. I switched to a smaller router bit and attached a guide bushing to the router base. I then routed the rest of the way through the template. The idea here was to leave a thicker portion at the bottom of the template to prevent it from flexing while in use. After a test route, it was clear that the template was still flexing too much, so I had to go back to the drawing board. I switched to using a miter gauge on a router table with stop blocks to route the channels, which made it much easier to get them nice and straight. After a little mishap with my piece shifting while routing, I also added a stop block to the top and switched to a wider bit to fix the mistake. I used a scrap piece to test cutting the larger pocket on the right side and concluded that this part would be easier to do with the template I had given up on earlier. I made another copy of the template, but only fully cut out the larger pocket. I took some extra time to make sure the edges were nice and clean. When you route with the template, every imperfection in the template is replicated onto your final piece, so it's worth taking the extra time to get a nice clean template. Once the template was prepared, the actual routing was fairly quick and easy. Next up was sanding. I used various foam and rubber backing pads and sanded up through 400 grit. I also rounded over the sharp outside edges for a nice smooth look and feel. I used some mineral spirits on a paper towel to clean off any excess dust left over from sanding and to get a peek at what it will look like with the finish on it. The finish I used was Howard Butcher Block Conditioner, which is made of mineral oil, beeswax, and carnauba wax. Since this was in December, I had to apply the finish inside since the shop was too cold for the finish to actually be liquid. While the finish is intended for use on wooden cutting boards, I find it works well as a light-duty, general-purpose finish, especially when you might not have time to wait for a more traditional finish to fully cure. The finish is applied by wiping on a generous layer, letting it soak in for a while, and then wiping off the excess. And it's done. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch y'all next time.